Hello everyone. We've got Logical Reasoning 2, Lesson 3. This is Unit 3, Lesson 3. We're going to talk about the triangle sum conjecture and the exterior triangle angles conjecture. So let's get started. All right, the triangle sum conjecture. The three angles in any triangle must add up to 180 degrees. So the three acute angles here that you can see, I could call this angle A, angle B, and angle C. I want to find the measure of angle B in degrees. So I could say that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C are supplementary, which means that it adds up to 180 degrees. Well, the measure of angle A was 82 degrees. The measure of angle B, I'm going to call X degrees. And the measure of angle C is 27 degrees. So whatever value for X would add the 3 on the left to be 180 is what I'm seeking. So I'm going to combine 82 and 27. That'll be 109. So X degrees plus 109 degrees would equal 180 degrees. I can subtract 109 and I'd see that X is equal to 71 degrees. That is the triangle sum conjecture. Let's continue with another example. Okay, here in example 2, we're going to find the measure of angle A and angle C. Well, based on the markings, as you can tell here, angle A and angle C will be the same. I'm going to actually name them X. Therefore, using the triangle sum conjecture, I would have that measure of angle B plus the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle C, again, should sum to 180 degrees. Therefore, 2x plus 85 equals 180. Subtracting 85, I get that 2x is equal to 95. And if I divide by 2, I should get 47.5 degrees for each angle. So since both angles have the same measure, I can just assume that their measure is equivalent to X. All right, let's look at another example. Okay, un poco más difícil. Solving for X in this case, I can say that the measure of the first angle, angle A, plus the measure of the second angle, angle B, plus the measure of the third angle, let's call it angle C, again, should equal 180 degrees. So we can find a value for X such that this is true. Let's combine some like terms, 6x, 9x, and 2x. That's 17x. Then I'm going to combine -1, +8, and a +3. It's a +10. All of those like terms combined should add to 180. We can assume that each of these were degrees, even though they weren't labeled that. So I'm going to subtract 10, so that means 17x is equal to 170 degrees, and therefore x is equal to 10 degrees. Okay, a little problem solving skills there, but very similar to the first two examples. Let's continue. Okay, now we're on to what's called the triangle exterior angle conjecture. Okay, so in a triangle, the measure of an exterior angle is equal to the sum of the measures of the remote interior angles. So you can see these two angles here. These are the remote interior angles. They're remote because they are away from this intersection point right here. So here's the exterior angle, and here is the interior angle. Okay, so let me talk about this for just a minute. Let's call this angle A, angle B, call this angle C, and we'll call this angle D. So I think we can agree that the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C is equal to 180. And I think we can all agree that the measure of angle D plus the measure of angle C is equal to 180. Therefore, you can see that clearly measure of angle C will be the same. And if both of these equations are equal to 180, then that would require for the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B to be equivalent to the measure of angle D. Okay, so based on equivalence, we can say that that's true. So in example 4, let's find the value for x. And now x should be here. Okay, so a couple ways you could do this. You could do this the long way, and that's totally fine. If this angle here is 150, a linear pair would make this angle 30. Okay, and so we would know that 30 plus 2x's is equal to 180. Subtracting 30, I would get 2x is equal to 150, and therefore x would equal 75. Now the quick way to do this is to identify that this angle, 150, is equal to the sum of these two angles. So you could say that 150 is equal to 2x, and look at that. You actually had that in your previous method. It just took a little bit longer to get there based on the setup. So either way, we can find that x would equal 75 degrees. All right, let's continue with another example. Okay, slightly more difficult in example 5. There's some implied information going on here. And that implied information is that this angle right here is 90. Again, the long way, you could show that based on supplementary angles or a linear pair that this angle here would be 20. And that x plus 20 plus 90 equals 180. And then you could subtract 20, showing that x plus 90 is equal to 160, or I'm going to stop right there. You could see that this angle, 160, that exterior angle, is equal to the sum of the two remote interior, which would be that the sum of the two remote interior is equal to 160, which is where we are at right now. Therefore, x would have to equal 70 degrees. Okay, it's using this to be more efficient, right? This is called the exterior angle conjecture. All right, let's look at another example. All right, example number 6, find A, B, and C. Okay, a couple ways we can do this. A and B are going to be relatively easy using properties that we've worked with before. B is going to be 153, and I can get there by looking at and considering the idea of vertical angles, and that vertical angles are congruent. Okay, A is going to equal 27 degrees, and that's using this idea of a linear pair or supplementary angles, right? So I could say that the measure of angle A plus 153 is equal to 180, yeah? So then I would subtract and find the measure of angle A. Now to find C, I could either go the long way like we've done on the previous examples, or I could use this idea of the exterior angle sum conjecture. So 153 should be equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles, the interior angles away from it. So that would be C plus 64. And when I subtract, oh boy, I have to subtract numbers. That's not good for me. 64, 153 minus 64 is going to equal C. That's going to equal, what, 89 maybe? Let's see. I'm going to check. 89 plus 64. That's 140. 140 plus 13. 153. Yep, 153. Therefore, C would equal 89 degrees. Okay, let's look at one more example, and that'll be it for this lesson. Okay, very interesting example here. To find x and y and z. So I'm not just trying to find x, y, and z. I'm also trying to find their sum, okay? So what you'll notice here is that x, y, and z actually have the same measure. Okay, so x, y, and z have the same measure. Then that means that their supplement, right, linear pair here, would also have the same measure. Now that makes this triangle right here, this yellow triangle, an equilateral triangle. That makes each of these angles 60. Okay, so if each of those angles is 60, their supplement would have to be 120. And so if x, y, and z are all 120, then their sum would be 360. All right, guys, that is lesson number 3 on the triangle sum conjecture and the exterior angle sum conjecture as well. So we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.